everyone, and welcome to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSeco. So, we have three articles for our discussion today. The first two are from the Hindu newspaper. The first one is titled as Safety at All Costs. So, this article talks about that how can we ensure various safety rules that should be followed in the hazardous industries, for example, the firecracker industries. So, this is in regard with the recent blast that took place in one of the industries. So, what steps should be taken in this direction and what can be the future in the coming times will be discussed here. The second one is titled as Aiding the Governance. So this talks about the role of the NGOs and the non-state actors in aiding the governance and how a complete wholesome picture is drawn when all of these factors come along and how this works for the welfare of the society at large. And the last article is from the Indian Express today, which is titled as Sexual Harassment and JIT Hub. So this talks about the recent case of sexual harassment that has come through and how it has been tackled. How can this cyberbullying and software malpractices can be stopped will be discussed here. So this newspaper analysis has been presented by me. My name is Sheva Khan. I am a BA LLB law graduate and I have completed my law degree from Uttaranchal University in the year 2019. Currently, I'm working as an expert for current affairs at LawSeco, and I'm also managing the current affairs vertical. Let's see what is the multiple choice question from our previous discussions. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana is for, your options are pregnant women, lactating mothers, both or none. This is the descriptive question for the day. How can safety protocols be mandated in the hazardous industries? Why is it important to do so? Okay, so let's start a discussion for the first article of the day, which talks about the safety protocols in the industries. 4 workers died in a blast recently, as we know, at the fireworks unit in Tamil Nadu on the eve of New Year. So this actually brings about again the discussion that we need to have, or we need to do, or what we need to do for the relentless vigil or the surveillance for the implementation of the safety protocols in the hazardous industries. So let's see that what led to the accident. So there was primary investigation that took place and it suggested that there was a friction between the chemicals that caused the blast. So as we know that the fireworks industry specifically, they use or they make use of a lot of kinds of the chemicals which are there used to manufacture these firecrackers. So some of the chemicals might have, they came together, there was friction between them and this actually caused the blast. And the workers had come in the unit for a puja to usher in the new year. But of course we know that this did not turn out to be a very happy event, as 4 workers had to lose their life because of this particular blast. Now let's analyze that why this accident demands strict vigilance and why stricter laws are required in this direction. See, first of all, we need to see that the cases have been filed under the Indian Penal Code and the Indian Explosive Substances Act. Now, given that it already adds to the seriousness of the issue. And also, conversely, no violations were cited for leasing the facility and for manufacturing of unauthorized substances. Now, here, what contradiction that we are able to see is that at one side, where the filing of the entire case has been done under the IPC and the Indian Explosive Substances Act, on the contrary, in this primary investigation, no violations have been cited with regard to the leasing of this particular industry or even for manufacturing of any kind of unauthorized substances. And so far, the most notable improvement that has taken place due to the investigation commissions that have done so far have been the reduction in the child labor. Now, as we know that Article 24 of the Indian Constitution, which is also a fundamental right, it prohibits the child labor. Then we also have various acts to prohibit the child labor. So these, investigations from time to time have done one notable improvement, that it has caused reduction in the level or in the amount and the number of child labor that is associated with such industries. So the fireworks industry is also often overlooked, although it employs 8 lakh people in the state in backward regions. So many times when we talk about such hazardous industries, when we talk about the glass industries and others, so here the fireworks industries many times is overlooked, although it has a huge potential and it already is employing a lot of people in this direction. Now, the this article also talks about the suggestions that they were actually made by the National Green Tribunal after an investigation had taken place for an accident that had killed 20 people. And this article says that those suggestions should be incorporated if we want to see some improvement in this area. The first one is that the Explosive Act should be amended to make punishments for negligence more stringent. See, when we talk about the punishments, they should have at least some kind of deterring effect on the person committing something wrong. Now, many a times what happens is that these acts they were brought back years ago, and maybe the fines were just for rupees 500, 1000, etc., which is nothing as compared to the kind of people or kind of the laws that we have to face nowadays. And then the second suggestion was that only certified people should be employed for mixing and filling the chemicals or making the color palettes as well, which means they will definitely have some professional knowledge. They will be trained people who know the stuff, and it will not be like a layman doing or dealing with such hazardous substances. The third one is that the drone supervision ought to be undertaken seriously. Now, as we know that in the industrial usage also, the drones are being highly used as keeping the current situation in mind. So the drone supervision, it should be undertaken seriously so that we have a complete aerial view of what actually is going through or going on in which part or which corner of the industry, which will give us the right information in the right time so that we can act well within time. And the last one is to ensure strict enforcement of the safety protocols, all in all, the general basis. Now, the second article is about the role of NGOs in aiding the governance. So, we know that the synergy, that is the working together of the NGOs, the government, and various corporates, is the holy grail of development, which in sense it says that the government, the corporates, through their corporate social responsibility, we will see in the coming discussion, and the non governmental organizations, the NGOs, and other non state actors, they should all come together and they should work for the public welfare. Only then we would say that the development in the real sense will be achieved. So let's say that what does the law say about the developmental tax for corporates, like how the corporates can basically involve themselves or they can contribute in the developmental processes of the society. So according to section 135 of the Companies Act mandates that corporates that are beyond a certain level of profit and turnover should pay 2% of their net profits before the tax to the developmental schemes, which we generally call as the CSR or the corporate social responsibility. So this ensures that the corporates ally or they work in line with the NGOs to collaborate for social welfare. Now, as we know that these corporates, these huge industries, they have a good turnover, they have good profit, and if at all it crosses the requirement that is provided in section 135 of the Companies Act, so this is how they can let a share of their profit, because of course they're earning this profit from the society at large. So it's definitely their corporate, the social responsibility of that corporate to involve itself or to contribute in the developmental process of the society, and this is how they can do so, and they can align themselves along with the NGOs. So the non-state actors are essential due to their communication with the grassroots levels as they bring patient capital from boardrooms to welfare activities. Now, here with the non-state actors, we're talking about our various, NGOs or the other, associations, the programs, the schemes that the people have, their groups, small mini groups that they have, because they have complete total grassroots level discussion. They engage with the people on one discussion, one-on-one basis, and this helps the schemes to percolate in a better way and reach out to the beneficiaries for the best of their benefit. So let's see that what are the essential cogs in the wheel for a smooth functioning. So what are the important spokes that we are talking about that are important for the smooth functioning of this entire system? So in most cases, navigating the bureaucracy of government actors becomes difficult. Now here what happens is that many times the government actors, of course, the bureaucracy is the most important one that works for the welfare of the government. So here it becomes difficult to many times understand as to where or in which direction the bureaucracy is going on. The NGOs and other non-state actors become important for community engagement as they carry demands to formal institutions. See, many times what happens is that like a person has a complaint from any or he has a demand for a particular thing, let's say has some rights regarding the maternity benefit, or let's say water availability, or any problem that they are facing in the society. So many times they're not able to approach the bureaucracy or the government actors directly. So what do they do is that they take their complaints to these NGOs or other non-state actors, and these NGOs make it possible, or they become the voice of such people, and they reach out to the government actors for the entire thing to become concrete. So these NGOs or non-state actors, they play a very important role in carrying forward the demands to the formal institutions. So this is best shown in the RTI campaign, where it finally became a law due to decades of campaigning. Now here is a very perfect example, because we know that it was the people from the grassroots level, specifically in the state of Rajasthan, that came out on to having a demand for having the Right to Information Act, which ultimately reached to the ears of the government and became a formal act in the Indian, system, or the Indian legal system. So, in fact, the government nodals often ask the NGOs for the last mile amplification and delivery of government schemes as well, wherein the NGOs help a lot in collection of data. A very good example of this is the NGO Pratham, which is functional in Maharashtra, which plays a very important role in providing the information and also fighting against the anemia. So this is one thing that the government also takes the help from for reaching out to people. Then the CSR, or the Corporate Social Responsibility Law, is thus important because it clears the mess of corporates and also bridges the gap between the normal layman and the corporates and the states, because here they will be in a responsibility to give some share of their profits to the society. So it is important that the growth of the NGOs is not stifled due to licensing regulatory issues, resulting in them being relegated to the back rows as sunset warriors. And thus we should realize well within time that the NGOs are actually playing a very important role in bringing a lot of people to the forefront in the society and fighting for their rights and their you know uh, rightful demands from the government. Now let's discuss the third and the last article for the day, which talks about the sexual harassment and the GitHub. So recently, the open software repository, which is a GitHub, it witnessed a social utility platform that had been auctioning the pictures of Muslim women, and this was definitely considered to be very much against their safety, and also it was considered to be as a communal attack as well. So a similar communal attack was launched in June 2021, and the complaints were also launched against this particular act. So the police have reported that the investigations have been stalled because GitHub is not cooperating. So we are actually looking forward that GitHub, that is actually responsible, that is an open software repository, it should come forward and cooperate against any such movements. So let's understand that what actually is the GitHub and what are its content policies. So GitHub is the world's largest open source developer community platform. So open source, as in it can be, availed from various other sources. It has no such limitations to its, availability or its accessibility. So it's an open source developer community platform. It helps the coders collaborate with others to tweak, develop, and make more effective applications. So other coders can actually collaborate and take help of the content which is available on the GitHub to tweak, develop, or make their own applications more effective. So GitHub mandates that the content on the JIT be civil and respectful towards everybody at all the time. But recently, the cases of cyberbullying have come forward. So cyberbullying, doxing, and any nudity or sexual content is completely prohibited on GitHub. So when the said application, whichever has been portraying or has been auctioning the pictures of Muslim women, it violated the terms of use. GitHub banned the account, but it did not supply the details of the accused person to Indian authorities, which is actually very essential for moving further in this particular case. So let's see that what actions have been taken by the authority and GitHub so far. So GitHub has banned the account, as we just noted, but no one knows that for how long such suspension of the account shall be lasting. And the Delhi police have repeatedly tried contacting the company, the notice of which has been forwarded to the legal team of GitHub, authorities of the state have said. And the senior officer has stated that they will initiate a request to the ministry to force GitHub to take investigations from their side so that the concrete information can be brought in well within time. So this was all for the day. We hope it was a good session for you all. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel. Also, please, if you would like to download the PDF of today's slides, you can join our Telegram channel. The link is there in the description box below, or you can scan the QR code that you can see on your screens right now. Also, for other crisp and exam-oriented content, please do not forget to follow us on our official Instagram channels. So you're all here with Judiciary, CLAT Prep, UGC Net, as well as Law Finance exams. Thank you so much.